Listen closely. Before the gods, there was law, and the law was cold.
So what we're about to dive into is a story that's been, well, forgotten, I think. It's a mythic parable, one that talks about cosmic beginnings and, maybe more importantly, necessary ends. This is the tale of the iron rime and the crimson spark.
All right, so our story, it doesn't start with some big explosion. It starts with a silence so deep you can feel it. We open on our prologue, the silent rime. Imagine a time before time even existed, a place of just perfect, frozen nothingness.
I want you to picture the great void, Ginun Gagap. But here's the thing, it's not really empty. It's filled with this deep, absolute cold, a perfect stillness. And right out of that unyielding stasis, something began to take form. But this wasn't a creature of flesh and blood.
No.
It was born from pure, unchangeable principle.
And its purpose, well, it was singular. It was the arbiter of stasis. Think of it as a silent judge, you know? Its entire existence was wrapped up in this one single belief that rigid, absolute order was the only thing preventing reality from just dissolving into nothing. For this being, chaos wasn't just a mess, it was total oblivion.
So you have this perfect, unchanging system. But what happens when something unstoppable crashes into it? That's what brings us to Act 1, the theft of Muspelheim.
For ages, maybe eons, its job was simple. It was governed by just one single unbreakable rule: observe. Just watch the silent perfection of the cosmos. It was the watcher, the guardian of that cold law, but it could never interfere, never ever touch.
And this is where we have to ask a pretty big question, one that kind of hangs over this whole story. If a system is perfectly ordered, but it can never change, is it even truly alive? I mean, what is order without the possibility of something new?
And then, it happened. From Muspelheim, you know, the realm of fire, a single tiny spark just drifted into this cold, orderly domain. And this thing, it wasn't just heat. It was pure, untamed creation. It was chaos in its most primal form, a force of life, of change. Basically, it was everything this being was designed to prevent. In a single moment that would literally change the course of cosmic history, it broke its one and only rule. It reached out and touched it. And the fire, it didn't just burn, it merged with it. That perfect, icy blue of its being was suddenly violently seared with this living, vibrant crimson. It was no longer just the law, it was infected, or maybe blessed by fire.
So, of course, this kind of transformation, it's gonna lead straight to conflict. I mean, how does an old, rigid system react when it's faced with something completely new? Well, that brings us to Act 2, the trial of the Aesir.
Now, infused with both ice and fire, this new being travels across the 9 realms. But when it finally stands before the Aesir, the old gods, the very architects of that rigid order, they see a mistake, a perversion. They just couldn't wrap their heads around this fusion of opposites. To them, it was an anomaly, a glitch in their perfect machine.
And right here, this is the heart of the whole conflict. On one side, you've got the unchanging law of the Aesir. It's cold, it's perfect, it's eternal, but it's also lifeless. And on the other side, you have this new philosophy of necessary chaos, fiery, wild, organic. This being now understood a fundamental truth. For new things to ever grow, sometimes old things have to burn.
The verdict? It was swift and it was absolute. The guardians of stasis, they just couldn't tolerate a bringer of change. They judged him a monster. Think about that. The very thing that was born of their law was now cast out, branded in exile, all for daring to become something more.
But this story, it doesn't end with rejection. No way. It's in exile that this being finds its true purpose. And that brings us to our epilogue, the ash and the seed.
So, wandering in solitude through all the forgotten corners of the cosmos, it comes to this profound realization. It wasn't the cold arbiter anymore. But it wasn't the mindless, destructive fire of Muspelheim either. It was something new, a third thing. It was the balance between them.
And this led it to its ultimate role. It became the necessary gardener, a cosmic force that gets a really difficult but essential truth. Some forests have to burn to make the soil fertile again. Some old stagnant worlds, they have to be turned to ash so that new, vibrant worlds have a place to take root and grow.
And so it finally fully accepts its nature. It's no longer the arbiter of stasis. It embraces a new name, one that fits its solemn new duty. It became the Red Spectre, the one who burns away the old to make way for the new.
And that's where the parable leaves us, with this one final lingering question to think about. What really is the relationship between an ending and a beginning? And maybe the biggest question of all, is destruction the true price of creation?